Welcome into Week 12 Sunday Scaries with Nutmeg 2 Palmetto and my loyal co-host, as always, Bucs McGee. Not rocking the Brady this week, I see.
Nope, I'm rocking the only man who played well today. My man, Devin White. Devin White.
Speaking of playing well or not so playing well, we, of course, just celebrated Thanksgiving. And what's more synonymous with Thanksgiving than leftovers?
Oh, yes. Very
What
true.
a bunch of leftovers we had today on the slate.
Lord, this felt like a week 2 or week 3, just hodgepodge of I don't know what. I shouldn't say that. It wasn't horrible, but it was just, I think the slim pickings TV-wise is what bothered me.
Yeah. Well, I don't really know where to start. I could probably just throw a dart at the scoreboard, hit my computer screen, and hopefully it doesn't die, and that'll tell us where to begin. But there were a couple of games that have kind of set up some interesting divisional situations.
Mm-hmm.
One, of course, features your Bucs, who lost in overtime to the Browns, and the Falcons still can't seem to manage to overtake you.
Nope. We're the best 5-6 team, division leader in the league.
The Falcons dropped one on the road as well to Washington, sitting at a very pretty 7-5, oddly enough. But
yeah.
Why doesn't anyone want the NFC South? At this point, you're going to play the Panthers back into it.
They're 4-8 now. Sam Darnold's slowly creeping around now. I don't know. When it comes to Tampa, it's just, if you read on Twitter or, social medias, all that, everyone's calling for, Leftwich's head, Bowles' head. There's just no fire. There's no fire there. Like, the run game was just blah. It seems like they reverted back to let's just run up the middle a few times, and then that's it. There was nothing there. In the fourth quarter, the Bucs had this game under control. They should have just went no huddle, thrown the ball all over the yard, because that's when they score. I understand you need the run game to set up the play action, but they just abandoned the run, and it was just bad. I give credit to Jacoby, man. Jacoby's a winner. He's handing off the team on a winning note. Man's right. Getting shafted.
That's right. If Watson comes in and stinks it up, call for his head immediately.
Yeah, would you really think someone would be calling 1 year for Jacoby Brissett to take over? Not really.
Whoa. Watch that line of thought, because I was ready at the beginning of this year to bring him back to Indy.
Oh, man. But overall, yeah, the Bucs just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just don't get it. There's talent there. They just don't get it. I don't know what's happening with this team. But, excuse me. I'm a little loud. There we go. They'll win the division. They'll somehow eke out the division. They'll be, they'll maybe be one game over 500, finish the season off, and then there'll be a quick one and done in the playoffs. That's what it's going to be.
Okay, so you think they still have the inner track right now?
Yeah, they have the talent. If you look at those 4 teams, they have the talent. They can do it. They're just shooting themselves in the foot. Like, legit. They are just like, they're doing it to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If they could get out of their own way, they could go on a 3-4 game win streak and start to look good. And that's what everybody was kind of starting to think after the 2 wins. After Germany, here we go. Maybe they've turned the corner. Nope, we reverted back to like week 7 and 8. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to have the flashes. They'll have enough to win because their schedule is pretty favorable. Their schedule isn't totally like daunting. They've got some guys, some tough teams, but they can play well enough to win the division. And then, it's going to be a one and done.
So no faith in Atlanta coming up on their heels.
No, I don't think so. Like, Atlanta, first half of the season feel good, but this was a game they needed. This was a game they really needed. And I think Atlanta just doesn't have the parts. Kyle Pitts is out. Mariota just isn't that guy. He's not that guy. So you can't put everything on Patterson. You can't put everything on Cordell Patterson to carry this team. You need someone who's going to throw the ball, and they don't have that. So I think probably if they lose the next 2 or 3 games, Ritter's coming out.
The time has come.
I think it really is. You've got to be honest. Mariota is not your long-term answer there. It's not. He's not.
Speaking of divisions that no one seems to want.
Next.
Now, the records in this division don't seem quite as bad as the NFC South. They actually seem significantly better. They actually look downright pristine. The Bengals have been up and down, inconsistent all season. They look like they're finally starting to hit their stride right now, oddly enough, during Jamar Chase's injury this whole time. And the Ravens just keep falling apart by the week. Like they have like a good pop, then they get completely demoralized, and they have another pop, then they get completely demoralized again. So now they're both sitting at 7-4, which actually creates a real logjam in the playoff picture because who the Bengals beat today was the Tennessee Titans, who also now sit at 7-4. So you've got this real logjam in the middle of the playoff picture. And who is supposed to be the favorite now in the AFC North? Is it this Bengals team that can't stay healthy, has trouble protecting Burrow, has been a roller coaster all season, or this Ravens team that just continues to implode? And they sure did implode today.
Yeah, if you're going to ask me, I'm going to take the Bengals. The Bengals, just because I believe they are more of a offensive cohesive unit. They've got more. They have more than what the Ravens have. And sooner or later, the Ravens are going to run out of steam. Let's just be realistic. Lamar needs receivers. He doesn't have receivers. It's just, and we've talked about this. It's the same thing. It's almost as if you kind of sit there and say, do they need a new voice? Is it do they need a new voice? Or is the contract playing in the back of his head? Because in theory, they were supposed to have his contract done this year. He gave the timetable and said, if we can't get it done before the start of the season, I'm shelving it. So in theory, he's playing almost a prove it rest of the year now. Does he even want to be there? Honestly, if I was him, I'm saying no. They're going to franchise him. You know it. He's going to go Kirk Cousins and get that Kirk Cousins money.
Well, that's the next question. At this point, does he just stick around, or does he just say piss off and get out of town?
Well, technically, I don't. If they franchise him, he can. He'll be there at least one more year. But they've got to sit there and say, this offense, we've got to give him some weapons. But he's also got to throw the ball a little better. We've watched games where there's times where he's throwing stuff on a rope, and other times it's just 15 yards the other way. But everyone is so enamored with his speed and his legs. I've always said a running quarterback is great, but only for so long. Yeah. It's the one hit, or age is going to catch up to you real quick in the league. That's just what it is. So,
or the book just gets out on you really quickly.
Yeah, and mind you, the guy's talented. There's no doubt he has talent, but let's be realistic. They've got to figure it out. Signing Deshaun Jackson wasn't the answer. Because if that was the case, you should have beat the Jaguars. Should have beat them. But don't sleep on the Jaguars. They're
not the Jaguars of old, and this was a pretty impressive win. And we've talked in the past, their struggles this year that were, I guess, a little surprising because of second year and energy coming in, but they've definitely still kind of not looked like the old Jags. But this year they still had their struggles, and it's like, when's this team ever going to get it right? Maybe this is them starting to get it right now.
It very well could be. It could be, okay, finally it's starting to click. Now, they're probably not a playoff team, but going into the, soon to be stretch run of the season, they could be a dangerous team. So I give Jags credit, T-Law was what, 29 of 37 for 321?
Yes.
And 3 touchdowns? Not bad. You can't knock them. That's a great stat line.
Turnovers, no turnovers. No turnovers, 129. Oh, he did lose one fumble.
And you would have thought there would have been more, or it would have been tougher, because that Ravens defense, everyone's hanging their hat on it. But this isn't the Ravens defense of Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, these guys, they're talented, but they're not at that level. So hats off to the Jags.
That's right. Now, before we move on to the next game, we'd be remiss without our weekly lament of the Let's Ride Denver.
Yes. Let's ride.
Let's
ride that into the dumpster fire.
Somehow, a dumpster fire losing to a dumpster fire. Somehow the Panthers might actually have a shot in this awful NFC South.
You know what? The one time this year I need Russell Wilson to do something. And you can't figure it out, buddy. You can't figure it out. All those weapons, and you just can't figure it out. Sam Darnold beats you.
The only silver lining for Russ this week is the fact that Geno also lost. But at least Geno put up way more points still.
Geno's got a winning record. I'll allow that. Really. Honestly, if there was any game you should have sat there and said, okay, this is it. This is where we may be able to do something. The Panthers was Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, the man who saw ghosts in New York. And all you can do is put up 10 points? Really? 10 points? No excuse. None. I'm done.
No.
Right, yeah. Seattle's going, thank you. We appreciate that. Take that trash.
Thanks for all those picks.
Exactly. Really? Legit. That's just ripping people off. That's horrible. That's just wrong. Yeah, go ahead, Denver.
Oh, the current kings of I guess they're not the kings of the AFC, but they're right on the heels of the Chiefs. It looks like they took their foot off the gas and took the rest of the game off. The second best team in the AFC right now, the Miami Dolphins. Now, I don't know how much credit you want to give for this week because the Texans are absolutely hapless.
Yeah, this is a game this is a game that you play somebody like this, you're supposed to put your foot on their neck, snap it, call it a day. This is what you do. What do you talk about? Really, what do you talk about in this game? There's nothing.
No.
The Dolphins, I think kind of probably, like you said, kind of coasted the second half. They didn't put any points up. I think, you still want to, try to put some points up. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the game. But, by halftime, it was 30-0. There was nothing there. It's the Texans. Bless their hearts.
Bless their hearts. Do you think Miami has a shot to catch Kansas City? They're only a game back right now. The Super Bowl goes through South Beach.
Oh, Lord. Great. Yeah. Part of me wants to say yes, but I don't think so. I don't think the Dolphins are there yet. I think the Dolphins, they're good. There's no doubt. 8-3, they're good, but I don't think they're battle tested yet. Everyone's having fun. Ooh, we're winning. It's one of those things where, oh yeah, we're winning. Yay. You haven't hit any real adversity, maybe earlier in the year when Tua was out, those couple games or whatever, but they haven't really hit anything yet. So until I can really see them grind out some real tough wins still, no, the AFC goes through Arrowhead.
Right. So right now, Miami's still just the fantasy football champion.
I don't want to downplay them because they have talent and they're playing well, but I don't know if they get punched in the mouth enough, can they come back? I don't know if they're there yet.
Right. Sometimes you got to take some lumps.
Yeah, you got to take some lumps and be able to bounce back. So I don't know yet, but hey, Like we always say, you can't pick who you play. They look a little more stable than Buffalo does right now.
Yeah. Speaking of the AFC East, another team that is joined in that 7-4 logjam. The MILF Hunter on the shelf. Who comes in? But the man who would make Ben DiNucci jealous of a starting job in the NFL.
Mike White, yes.
The one and only.
Mike White. I actually cheered for him today. I was like, you go. He's going to get himself a starting job somewhere. It's time for Mike White to get some respect.
Now, the Bears hadn't looked all that horrible lately, but they sure looked horrible today. So,
I don't believe
New York Jets please stand up.
I don't believe Justin Fields played. Yeah, I don't. Yes, exactly. He didn't play, and I actually forget who started for the Bears. I apologize. It was either going to be Nate Peterson or I forget the other gentleman's name, and they literally couldn't figure it out till like 5 minutes before the game started.
The immortal Trevor Siemian.
That's right, Trevor Siemian. Poor guy. Had like half a season of greatness in Denver. And they literally couldn't figure out who was going to start till literally last minutes of the game. No sense. Like, that's horrible. That's just really bad. But let's be real. The Bears go as far as Fields' legs. That's fact. And this was a perfect example. But the Jets have talent, and for Mike White to walk in there and throw up 31 points like nothing, I think, some people inside, Jets, headquarters there are saying, maybe, this was the smart decision to bench the MILF Hunter.
And who would have thought that the AFC East right now would be this super competitive division that you can't really handicap, especially early in the year when Buffalo was running away with it.
Yeah, so, we went like 4 weeks ago. We were like, whatever.
And Buffalo, they played on Thanksgiving. They had to really grind it out. Detroit gave them a fight, which I kind of expected it because Detroit, one, they've been playing well of late. Two, they always play well on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So you have these. So you have them kind of just barely keeping up with the Joneses. Miami's been on a little bit of a surge, and the Jets have been a little inconsistent, but keeping up with a relative hot start. And the Patriots aren't really that far back. So, you just said you don't have too much faith in Miami, but who is the favorite still in this division? Because it's really up for grabs.
I think if you ask 10 people, 7 of them would say by default, they'd say Buffalo. They'd say it's Buffalo's division to lose. The other 3 would probably say Miami. Let's be honest. No one has faith in the Jets because, okay, let's say Mike White goes on. Let's say they bench our friend the MILF Hunter for like 3 games, right? Till he gets his head right or whatever this issue is, right?
Maybe he's seeing ghosts too.
Yeah, well, he's seeing something. And let's say Mike White goes 3-0. Like, let's say he just tears it up.
A Cooper Rush-like run, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Now, at that point, let's say they're in the wild card hunt. They're in it. Are you going to say, okay, we're benching Mike White. We're bringing in, our number 2 pick here that we made, bringing our guy in here, and you don't trust him? Because at this point, that locker room might be saying, you know what? White's got it. We want to ride with this guy.
Yeah.
What do you do? Or even 2-1.
I would have to think that this would be a much easier decision for Saleh and the Jets brass to make than it was for Jerry Jones because the MILF Hunter ain't making Dak Prescott money.
True, but he was your number 2 pick. That holds some kind of weight to it.
Yeah, but high draft picks fail all the time. If the kid's not playing up to par, you just kind of have to brush it off your shoulder and be like, this might not be the guy. We got to just roll with whatever the hot hand is. It's not like I think a high draft pick, you hate to see them fail, but I don't think it outweighs someone who's making franchise money.
Right. But if he was like the 23rd pick, then I can understand that. But Zach Wilson was your number 2. This was the guy who you said was going to be your franchise changer. So at this stage, you kind of hold him equal to Dak in that sense, I think. And if Mike White walks in there, runs off 3 wins, and everybody's like, yo, man, this is the guy. I want to run with him. Do you? Yeah, I think you have to. Zach had his chance. He screwed up.
Yeah.
Now you sit and watch this happen. This is what you could have had, but now you got to learn. And if the man himself, Mike White, runs him into, let's say, the AFC conference, rides him into freaking Arrowhead and gets blown out, no one's going to care. They're going to love that guy.
Yeah, because you weren't supposed to be here.
Like, Zach who?
Yeah. It's almost like Sanchez the first year when we went to the title game. Like, I know Sanchez was a very high draft pick, but nobody thought he was an elite quarterback.
No, he had that great defense, and that's what carried him. And if you listen to interviews about him, they basically told him when to throw, how to throw, and this was it. It wasn't like he was doing it on his own. Yeah. He never looked really comfortable, Sanchez. He was almost robotic in his reads.
The great offensive mind, Brian Schottenheimer himself.
I don't know. All I know is Mike White looked like he's been under center since the beginning of the season. They did what they did. I say if he gets another win or two, you ride with this guy.
I'm with them riding Mike White because they played. I caught a game last year. They played us. They played Indy on a Thursday night. And they gave us a run, and the Jets were pretty poor last year. And we were not. We had our issues last year, but up until that collapse in week 18, we were right. We were right in the thick of things. So, and also one last point on this quarterback thing, as far as the Jets drafting quarterbacks high, how many quarterbacks have they drafted high in the last 10 years? And they've all failed. I mean, we just talked about Sam Darnold a minute ago.
Yeah.
Darnold.
Exactly.
Darnold. I've got confused with the Mets catcher or whatever team that kid's on.
No, you're right. They've totally struck out. But if Mike White's the guy and he's giving you 3-0, 2-1, and they're at least putting points on the board.
About it. I mean, how am I going to word this? How do I word this? What are the odds you put on the field, so to speak, versus Buffalo in the division?
I still think Buffalo is strong enough to get it together. They've had injuries on the defensive side of the ball, which is really hampering them. Their secondary has been shot. They got Tre'Davious White back, but still they're beat up pretty bad. But I still think they have that culture in that locker room where they can get it together. They can put up points. They almost remind me of the Chiefs of a couple of years ago. All right, we'll put up 35 points and pray that our defense doesn't give up 37. I think that's where they're at now with their secondary.
That's kind of sad because a few weeks ago we never would have put the Bills defense in the same category as a Chiefs defense
we wouldn't, but if you look at the last few games, their defense has really has faltered. Von Miller's been hurt now, so they now have to kind of next man up. Like, you're going to find out what Buffalo is. I still give Buffalo the edge just based on experience, but hey, man, there are a couple losses from Miami running through there and saying, okay, here we are. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's definitely a lot closer than I thought 3 weeks ago.
As far as the other Thanksgiving games were concerned, Dallas, so frustrated by this because they let the Giants backdoor cover this game. They did what they were supposed to do, though. They did beat the Giants. Was this kind of the nail in the Giants' coffin? Have they come back down to earth? I know they're still 7-4. They're still in the playoff picture right now, but the way things have gone for them lately, are they just waiting for the rest of the wheels to fall off?
This is the come down to earth. This is what we knew they were time. Yeah. Like those guys, they're playing their tails off. I give them all the respect in the world, but they just don't have the pieces. They don't. You're one Saquon injury away from just losing the rest of the season and being maybe a top 8 pick. Like, let's be honest. They go as far as Saquon's legs go. You're going to let Daniel run around, Danny Dimes run around. He's one hit away from, it's crazy. I think they play hard. The culture there is great. Their defense is solid. It's a solid defense, but that offense is they just don't have it. They don't have it. In the offseason, they really need to look at and revamp that wide receiver room. You've got a couple guys there that play with heart. I think you keep those guys, but Kenny Galladay, if you can get a 7th round pick for him, trade him away. Get rid of him. He's done nothing.
Who's your bigger hacky sack this year? Kenny Galladay or Allen Robinson?
Kenny Galladay, because I believe Kenny Galladay has more talent, and I just don't know what will happen to him. Allen Robinson, yeah, the guy. Anyone who plays in the league has talent. I'm not taking anything away, but everyone was like, "Ooh, the Rams got Allen Robinson. Oh, they're ready. They're ready to reload for the Super Bowl." Yeah, what are you, 3-8 now? Good luck with that, winner. Good luck with that. Like, you made it sound like the signing of Allen Robinson was going to basically secure your spot in the NFC Championship game. Like, let's be real here. I'm sorry, but no.
Yeah, that's a lot of talent to stop people from doubling Cooper Kupp.
No better than the Bears. So what did he add? What did he add to your team?
That's right. Actually, I think the Bears have a better record.
I think.
No, that's not true. I apologize. That's not true.
But no, Kenny Galladay was their big splashy, free agent signing, and he's done nothing. He's done nothing. I don't think he wants to be there. I don't think they want him. They're just like, well, we got to sit on this till we can figure something out. And if you can trade him for something, get something and move on. Just cut your losses. Go, get yourself into the Marvin Harrison Jr. sweepstakes this year in the draft. If you can get him, you go for it, because they need a big receiver.
The final game of Thanksgiving, of course, we already touched on the Patriots a little bit, not too much, but a little bit. They wound up losing to Minnesota, and Minnesota is right on Philadelphia's heels after Philadelphia's had a rough couple weeks. And they're probably thanking their lucky stars that they get to play the Packers tonight, because otherwise Minnesota might be tied, or depending on what the tiebreaker situation is, in first by themselves. They might be right there with Philadelphia, because Philadelphia has played so poorly lately. So was that yet another good win for Minnesota? Because they had, they went up to Buffalo, they had the comeback, now they wiped the Patriots at home.
Well, they needed that game after, they got mollywopped by the Cowboys the week prior. It was a solid win. Like, let's be honest. I think you have to say that the Patriots are a good team. That defense is a top 7 defense. The defense is great. The only issue is the offense, and this hodgepodge of parts that you cram together, thinking that they were going to be great under Mac Jones, and they weren't. They're still trying to figure themselves out.
Bill's misplaced confidence in Mac Jones.
No, it's Bill thinking he's greater than he is, and has to understand, all right, I've got to change with the league. Like there's a point to where you do what you do and that you're like, I don't care what everybody else is doing. I've won like this. This is what's going to happen. Then you kind of have to say, well, you know what? Realistically, the league is changing. I can change in some ways. And picking up everybody's, extra parts isn't working for you. That doesn't work for Mac Jones. He needs like a certified number one. He needs a big time number one. That hodgepodge of tight ends you've got there, meh, like let's be real here. But
and for once in the Belichick era, can he please decide on a running back? Stop with this by committee stuff.
yeah, exactly. It's not like your quarterback is great and you're like, all right, well, we have our run guys, and this is what we're doing. You're trying to do the same thing with the same bunch of guys, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You don't have that because I don't think Mac Jones believes in himself enough. He still, I think, kind of doesn't know what's up because I don't even know who's calling the plays. Matt Patricia, I think, is the offensive guy. Really? Matt Patricia.
For no one else. Or it's Bill's kid.
Leave Steve Belichick alone. He's gonna be a great coach someday. I like the kids. But no, I think the win against New England was a good win. It was a tough win. I think the Vikings have to tune some things up. You can't have Dallas whop you around like they did. There's some things that, I think you really need to know who's the number 2 option in that offense. It's Jay Jetta, and then I would think Dalvin Cook, but it just seems like sometimes they just get away from him a little too much. But they've got the pieces that they can match up with Dallas offensively, I believe. It's just defensively, that Dallas defense, man. Those boys are dogs. The dogs.
4:00 games this week. We did have one crazy comeback. The Cardinals were up 17-14 at halftime over the Chargers. I almost said San Diego, but I stopped myself this time. They'll always be San Diego to me, mostly because I hate them, but that's besides the point. And they outscored the Chargers. They outscored the Cardinals 11-7 in the second half because there was a last-second situation, I believe.
I know they had a late TD and a 2-point conversion.
Where's the scoring? Here, 15 seconds left in the game. This was a 7-play, 38-yard drive, so it must have been off a turnover or something. They were down by 7. Okay, this is what it was. I remember getting the update about it. So they were down by 7. They got the ball back, kind of a short drive, so I'm guessing it must have been a funny yardage situation or a turnover or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They go down, get to the 1-yard line. Herbert throws a pass to Eckler to get them obviously within 1, pending the extra point. But they decided to go for 2 to say, screw these guys, we're getting the heck out of here. As we like to say in the past, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the F up out of here.
Yep. That was it, because the Chargers at this point are just floating in just mediocrity.
Right. So they convert the 2-point conversion. All's well that ends well. Who is that? I'm gonna close that. All is well that ends well, and the Chargers maintain some kind of playoff standing. They're still out of it. They're tied with the Patriots.
Hey, they're in the hunt. They're that column on TV that says in the hunt, and they list like 12 teams.
Yeah. From a half game out down to under 500.
Exactly, because they've not been mathematically eliminated yet.
Yes. So, do they still? We're down on the Cardinals. This is not a good season for them. Cliff's gonna be gone at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So, as far as the Chargers are concerned, with the teams in front of them, the Patriots are tied, and then you have the Jets, the Bengals, and whoever doesn't win the AFC East in the wild card spots right now. Do the Chargers actually have a chance to beat out those teams?
If they get hot, I think they do. they've been bit defensively by the injury bug. Now, Mike Williams is out. He's a big target in the red zone for them. So this is a team that still has talent. It's just they've got to figure it out. Like, they may not be able to put up 35, 40 points, but, if you can, win 25-24, that'll give you some momentum. So I think if they can, kind of say, all right, we've got to take it one game at a time, no mistakes, put our nose to it. They could be a wild card team. They've got a shot.
Would you say, if all things are equal, that they're the best team in that bunch?
Oh,
might be an obvious question.
Yeah, if everyone's healthy, yes, there's no doubt. Like, talent-wise, that team, when we said it in the preseason, we felt that was going to be a team that was going to dethrone KC because of especially what they brought in on the defensive side of the ball in the offseason. We felt they were strong. They were going to be that team. Now, I think this is when people are going to start to look at Herbert more and say, all right, let's see what you got now. Let's see if you're that guy. If they can somehow backdoor their way into the playoffs, they could be a dangerous team.
Backdoor, that's our favorite word here on the show. Oh, what else do we have at 4:00? Oh, one of your favorite nemesis, the New Orleans Saints, absolutely get completely shut out in the Bay Area. And you could argue the Niners should have put up more than 13 points, but as we always said, you can't control your schedule. Win's a win. You got to play who's in front of you. So what does taking care of business against a less than stellar Saints, to put it mildly, what does that mean for San Francisco after today?
It just means they keep pace in the NFC West. Like, let's be honest, this is a team that they probably should have put some more points on. Let's be real. That Saints defense isn't horrible. They're still a solid group. Offensively, yeah, we know they're just a hodgepodge mess now, and Jameis is probably not getting the keys. If they lose another game or two, then Jameis is probably coming back. But so no, the Niners probably, like we said, should have put some more points on, but they won. They were probably happy that Seattle lost. So now they're sitting there going, all right, we're 7-4. Let's get prepared for the stretch run. So it's the Saints. Like, there's nothing to say, man. Come on. I thank Jimmy G. I appreciate him.
Do you where's my train of thought going? Do you think that the Niners defense can stand up there with Dallas and say, no, we're the best defense in the league? It's got a little bit more experience.
They do, experience-wise, but if you're talking just raw talent, I would take Dallas's defense. Like, those guys are they're just something else to watch. Diggs out there. Like I said, he's a liability, but he'll get you a pick, but he might give up the 40-yard pass, but he's good. You got freaking that front seven is nice. I love those guys. I think they're just an angry bunch, and they play, and they just Micah Parsons. Man, if I could get that guy, I might just go buy myself a Micah Parsons jersey. I love the way that guy plays. And he's just, he's the leader of that defense. And that defense, they don't care who walks in their building or where they go. They feel they're that good.
And that says a lot because you hate number 11 jerseys.
I don't hate them all.
That's true. Drew was 11, wasn't he?
Drew was 11. Rest of them, yeah. But no. I think right now, the Niners have the edge offensively because of what they run. I think they have the edge there, but that's if Jimmy G's not chucking balls up just to throw them. If Jimmy G plays controlled ball, he's great. He's high-end game manager. Like, let's be honest, that's what he is. He can make the throws, but then there are times where he'll make that one throw, and it's always the one throw at the wrong time that changes the game for them. But no, if you today, no man, Dallas is it.
The Niners, however, are back in first place because the shine on the Geno Smith run took a little bit of a hit today. They lost in overtime to the Raiders, the hapless Raiders this year, who actually climbed back to 4-7, not actually looking so hapless on the record-wise, at least as much as they did a little while back. And this game was a little bit of a stats sub for 74 combined points. Jacobs had over 200 yards on the ground. Geno did put up a huge day.
Geno played well. It was just the Seahawks defense. I think you kind of start to see the holes in that Seahawks defense.
Yeah, you had actually Jacobs. Holy crap.
He had 33 for 229.
And he had 74 receiving yards too. Matching Adams' 74 receiving yards.
That's really sad.
So he had over, if I'm doing my math right, he had over 300 all-purpose yards.
I think finally Jacobs is becoming that guy that they thought he was. I think in that offense, they move him around. They're like, all right, let's throw you the ball. And I think they have to do that. They have to do that for them to have a chance of seeing the playoffs. They're going to have to McDaniels is going to have to open up every book he ever wrote in New England and say, this is what I did when I had James White, Kevin Falk, all these guys. Here, we're going to try it and see what sticks. They have to. For what talent they have, they've got it. If they don't make the playoffs this year, it's a bust. I don't care if it's his first year head coach. It's a bust.
The cellar dwellers of the NFC West, one of your other favorite nemesis, which you already touched on a little bit. But hell, why don't you let them shit on them a little bit more?
Who would you be talking about?
Playing their former, certainly not current, but former in-state rivals, the Kansas City Chiefs, and getting the doors a little blown off of them. The Chiefs didn't need much. You'd figured this was probably a 35, 40-point thrashing. They only dropped 26, but they held the Rams in check. And there's not a lot of positives to pull out of the Rams on this one. So, I mean, I don't know what you take out of this other than the Rams. The Chiefs just held serve and took care of business against a team that was probably supposed to be a lot better. They were probably circling this date thinking like, okay, this is going to be a tough one. And now they're like, well, whatever. I guess it wasn't. Let's just go out and kick some tail.
Yeah. If, Stafford isn't injured and, Cup's there and all that fun stuff. If the Rams are at full strength, yes, this game is must-see TV, of course. But the Rams aren't that. The Rams are just, I don't even know. They're just a mess. And like they had their third string start today. And I felt bad for that kid. But I think with the Chiefs are almost content not scoring 30-plus points a game. They have now become a team with extended drives. It's not this quick strike offense anymore. Number one reason why is you don't have the Cheetah there.
Yeah.
If the Cheetah was still there, they probably would have put up another 2 touchdowns. Let's be honest, because the Rams are just horrible. They're putrid. But I think the Chiefs enjoy the fact that now they can move the ball down because they do have so many complementary parts that it's almost like death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's what they used to say about Brady in New England. Slow, methodical down the field. And I think that's made Mahomes a better quarterback. Like Travis Kelce had 4 receptions for 57 yards. Still scored a touchdown, but it just shows that they have all these other pieces that can contribute and Mahomes has just become a better quarterback. So, yep, the Rams are horrible, but the Chiefs do what they do. And I'll be the first to tell you I revel in this because the Rams sold the farm for that Super Bowl. They don't have a first-round pick till 2024, I believe. They are just a mess. And they swore that OBJ was going to come back. You know, Sean McVay was like, oh, I know he wants to be here. La-da-da-da. No, he's not going to that dumpster fire. You don't know if Stafford's coming back. They don't know if he's coming back this year from injury. You have holes everywhere. It's just that it's all pride. That team is being held by defensive pride. Those guys in the fourth quarter were playing hard, but they just don't have it. They don't have it.
Do you think McVay would be vain enough to walk?
You know what? Here's the thing. If he walks, I think he looks bad. Because you sat there after the Super Bowl and preached how, oh, we're building something great. You know, we can be here for years to come, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you hit some adversity, you have a bad season, and then you want to walk. I think you look bad. Same thing for Aaron Donald. You were like, you know, at the Super Bowl, tears in his eyes. Oh, I'm ready to retire, blah, blah, blah. But then you come back. Are you just going to walk because you stubbed your toe?
Right. At that point, you should have walked. You should have just stuck with your plan and walked last year.
Exactly. I think if anyone would want to walk and just cause a stink, it'd be Jalen Ramsey. Like, let's be honest. Because Jalen didn't want to be in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
You know?
Jalen Ramsey's, what's the word? Public appearance. It can't take any more hits. So he almost has a pass to walk if he wants to.
He doesn't care.
He can't drop any further.
Jalen Ramsey doesn't care. And you know what it is? I think he's been a better citizen since he's been in LA. But, you know, sometimes you have players who, you know, don't keep things in-house like they should, and they wear it on their face. They wear it on their sleeve, and you just by watching them, you know something's wrong in that locker room. And I think he's the guy you watch. If he just starts slumping and he's like, whatever, you know something's wrong there. And, hey, he got a Super Bowl ring. If he wants to walk, then get rid of him. You'll get half the draft picks you lost. Half of them you gave away. Trade them away. Rebuild it. If McVay is this great mind, then rebuild it. Why not?
I'm sure there's some contender that's going to be missing a corner.
Why not? Hey, Dallas might throw him the money. Let's be real. Jerry will sit there and be like, all right, it's Christmas time. Why not? If I get OBJ next year, if, you know, the Rams want to get rid of what's his name, I'll pay it out. He'll be the new Deion Sanders, hired assassin.
Yeah. Jerry will love Jalen Ramsey.
Exactly.
I could of like certain players in the league that you could paintbrush as a Jerry guy. Jalen Ramsey's definitely one of them.
Exactly. And I think if you went there, now everyone's got this picture of Jerry Jones as kind of like, you know, that's just like a smart ass, like, you know, it's Jerry's way, yada, yada. But I think he's a smart guy and he understands how the game really is played. I've seen interviews with Pac-Man Jones. Remember good old Adam Pac-Man Jones there?
Oh, and yeah.
He went to Dallas and Jerry told him, he said, just stay off the streets, man. He goes, buy yourself some land. Just live your life. Stay off the streets. Keep yourself out of trouble. And when he played in Dallas, he was pretty much a model citizen and he played well. He may just say, hey, Jalen, you know what? Just win. Just come here to play, man. You don't need the drama. And if Jalen does that, Jalen's best corner in the league. Hey, why not? But the Rams are a dumpster fire. They're a dumpster fire. You picked up Bobby Wagner hoping he was going to fix something. Bobby Wagner saying, man, I just should have just stayed home. This is what I came for? Nope.
He's having I don't know if we could call it Russitis, but he's probably thinking the same thing. I should have stayed in Seattle.
Seriously.
Or I guess maybe gone back to Seattle. Because didn't he already leave?
Yeah, they didn't want to re-sign him.
Yeah.
Nope. I would have been like, nope, I'm good. I'll retire. This is a hot mess. Like their offensive line is horrible. Like it's like their 13th or 14th different lineup. Like the Rams are in some bad shape, and I don't think McVay has it to build it back up to keep it somewhat afloat. I don't think he's that coach. You want to give him new weapons, healthy weapons? Hey, great, whatever. Be the great mind. This is going to prove how great you are. If you can get him to 500 or so and keep him like that the rest of the season, all right. But no, it's just going to get worse.
Got one more team that's one of your favorite nemesis. Just kicking off tonight, Sunday night. The Eagles have moved. The Eagles actually have moved into the red zone right now as we speak. But can the Packers do anything tonight, or are the Eagles going to get back on track and show everyone that they're still the Eagles from the first several weeks of the season? The Packers showed some life last week or the week before. I don't remember.
Oh, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and everyone was like, "Oh, this was the game, and this was the turnaround," and then they got walloped the following week.
Oh yes, that's right. They beat Dallas.
They beat Dallas, and everyone thought this was the turn, and then they just got shellacked.
Yeah.
No one fears Green Bay. Let's be honest. No one fears Green Bay. Yes, it's Aaron Rodgers. I get that, but Aaron Rodgers is now mortal. I'll be honest. That's what I'll say. I think if any Green Bay fan that listens to this will probably want to find out where I live and come after me. Fine, whatever. I'm taking this is the truth. Aaron Rodgers is now mortal. I know he's got a busted up thumb, and they'll ride that till the end, but everyone knows my disdain for the man because I think he's the most overrated quarterback. Now, mind you, the man's got talent, and I've said this. Physical talent, no doubt about it. But you're going to tell me for all the greatness that everybody talks about him, you only win one Super Bowl. You've been to how many conference championships, and you can't seal the deal. At least get to the Super Bowl. You know what? I think Jim Kelly's a better quarterback.
Oh.
And that's even with the one Super Bowl. The man went to 4 straight, got shellacked. But you know what? Those guys who played with him would go to war with him. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Honestly, I bet after all is said and done, people will talk to people about Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I played with him. Yeah, he was kind of a tool. Whatever, but we won. So, no one fears Green Bay. I think the Packers are like, you know what? This is prime time. We saw what Dallas has been doing. We need to do this. They need to be driven by the division because, let's be honest, Dallas could be the number 2 best team in the NFC.
And be a wild card team.
Yeah, right? Go figure them apples out. Hey, what can I say? I'm the number 4, 5, and 6.
That's right.
So bad. Like,
home game.
But hey, I'm gonna do what I can. No, but honestly, no. I think the Eagles are like, we need to make sure we win this game. We don't, fall back on our laurels and say, oh, Green Bay isn't good and kind of half-ass it. They need to go and make a statement. Maybe almost put the nail in the coffin for Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And I think if they beat the Packers aren't coming back from this.
Let's not let the Vikings backdoor their way into a number 1 seed.
There you go. Because the Eagles have got to watch. You lose a game here and there. There you go. It's too tight still.
That was an interesting hypothetical you brought up. So let's say years from now we are ranking the quarterbacks, and we do have a situation where people are viewing someone like Jim Kelly over someone like Aaron Rodgers. Now, does that then does a hypothetical like that take off the onus of quarterbacks needing a Super Bowl in order to cement their legacy?
Here's the thing. And believe me, I've always been the guy where, you know what, you win a ring, there you are. You've won a ring. Now there's some guy, Jeff Hostetler. He won a Super Bowl ring. What happened after that? He went to the Raiders and he was all right. I'm not gonna talk about it. The guy was all right.
Yeah. Trent Dilfer.
Okay, there you go. But as I've gotten older, I've also kind of looked at the bigger picture of have you left the franchise? Is the franchise better after you've left? Have you created a culture where, okay, fine, you played for 10, 15 years, you left, and it's still at that level because you helped develop it. Once Aaron Rodgers leaves, they're probably going to throw parties in that locker room that no one's going to talk about because he's gone. Let's be realistic. The man held them hostage because he didn't know if he wanted to come back. He's walking around eating mushrooms in the woods or whatever he's doing. No, I don't think when he leaves Green Bay that they're in a better. Well, they're better because he left. Like, let's be honest. Everyone's gonna sit and they'll be the ride or dies. Oh no, man, he was the most talented quarterback. Remember that throw, that Hail Mary against Detroit on Monday night, blah, 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 and stuff like that. Yeah, that's great. All right. What happened to all those NFC championship games where he just shat the bed? Did he make those guys better? Is the franchise in a better place? No, I don't think it is. But people are going to say, oh, but Aaron Rodgers. Now, mind you, Jim Kelly, 4 straight Super Bowls, 4 straight losses. But, though, like I said, those guys would go to war for him. Those guys loved that man. That city loved that man. I bet you right now, if you go asking people in Green Bay about Aaron Rodgers, a lot more are kind of like, yeah. I still hold the Super Bowl important, but I also think how have you left the franchise? The franchise in a better place than when you got there.
Just to make our run as regular people to retirement all the more sweeter. Just wait for that Brian Bulaga tell-all book.
Oh man, that whole offensive line, they're gonna write a book. They're gonna tear that man up. Randall Cobb's gonna say some stuff. You don't have to wait for Devontae Adams. Let Randall Cobb go ahead and tell you the stories. Jordy Nelson all of a sudden is going to turn on him. It's going to be great. I'm going to buy it.
Jordy Nelson's going to turn on him.
I'm going to buy it. I will go to Green Bay. I will go to their team store and have them sign it for me. I don't care.
Road trip.
Yep. Why? Because I just want to hear the dirt on Aaron Rodgers. Hey, whatever, dude. He's just a tool.
The 2 things Bucs McGee wants most right now: Tom Brady's to front row at Tom Brady's retirement ceremony and the Aaron Rodgers tell-all book.
Oh, well, they just picked off Aaron Rodgers.
There it is.
There it is. See that, Joe? Yep. Oh, yep. Look, it's somebody's fault. Go ahead, Aaron. Somebody's fault.
Somebody's fault.
But Aaron, I threw into Slade tipped it and someone else picked it off. That's okay. I threw into 5 Eagles in a group right there, but that's okay. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I'm the greatest.
You should have jumped up and made a Hail Mary-esque catch for it.
It's all he should do because that's what Aaron Rodgers does. So he does. Like, I hate when I see him on Fox and they do they do the slow-mo of, how he throws the ball and I have to hear for 20 minutes about his mechanics. I'm like, yeah, that's great. They're losing by 20. What do I care? What do I care? But Aaron Rodgers is the greatest of all time. Back-to-backs. Yeah, whatever. It just irritates me so bad. It does.
Oh.
It just does.
The final game of Week 12. Oh, and nothing can sum up this disappointment bowl with the bright blue hyperlink on ESPN's webpage. Tickets as low as $31.
Hey man, it's Monday night. You should be excited.
I am. It's one of the few times I get to watch them. I don't care if they're a dumpster fire.
What are you talking about? After this one, it's my turn for Monday night.
Oh,
it's us and the freaking Saints.
At least your dumpster fire is still in first place.
Hey man, you're 4-6-1. I was hoping for a tie today. What are you talking about? I wanted a tie.
You want to join me? You want to join me on the tie train?
I didn't want to lose. I'll take the tie. I was like, all right, maybe we'll just say a tie. That's cool.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, man, it's an extra number. It's not a loss.
That's right.
No,
if you have enough wins, that tie will come out to be pretty valuable.
Exactly. I might need that. But you guys are favored by 2.5. So
I know. I don't know if I need you to like either walk me off the bridge or walk me back down to reality, because I should feel confidence about this, because Pittsburgh is as big of a mess as we are. Pittsburgh is just a complete trash heap, but we always have trouble with the Steelers. Don't know why. That now at one point we were competitive with them, unless it was the playoffs, of course. But during the Andrew Luck years, it didn't matter how much we blew out somebody the week before. Pittsburgh would always come in our week against us. For whatever reason, we always fell into playing them. I don't know why. We must have been the same finishers in the division or something. But we always played them, and they always beat us, and they always made us look like a bunch of juveniles. So I don't know what kind of confidence to have for this game. Do I like go in with the minds of we win, we can kind of be back in on this like outskirt of the playoffs, like just barely a punter's chance? Or do I just be like, listen, this is just going to be same old Colts playing the Steelers, and we're going to shit our pants?
It's a different Steelers team. You don't have Big Ben there. Okay, so that's the first thing. You don't have Big Ben, even though at that point Ben was like had one leg, half an arm, and he still was throwing the ball for like 350 exactly. This Steelers team at this point is just playing for pride. TJ Watt's back. They've got pieces. The run game isn't great. Let's be honest, Najee Harris is pretty blah. So no, I think you guys can beat them. I don't see why not. Matt Ryan's, playing decent right now. I think he's kind of feeling, okay, well, Saturday's brought me back in the fold. I'm the guy. I need to show why I'm the guy. Because who knows if Matt's sitting there saying this is it for me, or he wants another chance. He may light it up the next 6 games or so and say, hey, I want to be here next year. You got Taylor. You've got pieces. So I feel you guys can win. It's just whoever's going to make the least mistakes. That's what it's going to be.
I kind of do want us to rack up, even as much as I would love a high draft pick. I'm also looking at the bottom of the league right now, and there's a lot of garbage underneath us. As much garbage as we have, there's a lot of garbage underneath us. So I also kind of want Saturday to come out with a pretty decent looking record, because they have come out and played hard for him since he's taken over. So I really do think if they can put together a 500 record, maybe one game over, that sort of thing down the stretch, that he'll get the nod. He'll be the front runner for the job in the offseason.
Oh, he definitely will. If he can get them a game over, because it'd have to be a game over. If he can get them a game over, he can get them at 9-8. If he can go on a run, well, actually, it wouldn't be that, because you got they would go 8-8. They can go 8-8 because you have the tie.
The tie, yep.
So yeah, let's say they go 8-8. So that means you'd have to go 4-2 the rest of the season, right? They may sit there now. Of course, they're going to have to interview other people because NFL policy, the Rooney Rule, everything. But no, I think he's got the inside track, and they may say, okay, what can you do with a full season? Then there's the questions of, is it Matt Ryan? Is this team that one guy away from the Super Bowl? Honestly, you look at this team the way it's constructed, I don't think so. I think maybe you say, all right, Matt, it was fun, and you look for that centerpiece. You look for that quarterback of the future. You start, fixing some pieces here and there, and within a year or so, you're back in it competitive. But no, I think you guys can beat the Steelers.
Yeah, I think the emphasis should be on, even if Matt does finish the season on a better note than the season's gone so far, I think he should be moved. I think he should be shipped off. I think he should sail from the sunset, kind of like Philip Rivers did. but I do think that you just kind of have to move on. It didn't work. It's okay. We got some competition out of you, but it's okay.
Right, but are you going to say the season wasn't successful because of Matt Ryan? You're not going to. No one's going to say that. They're going to say there's a lot of other pieces around there. Of course going to say it was Frank's fault. Come on, you're the first one.
There is a certain amount of blame that needs to be laid at Frank's feet, because this is not just this year. This is the last couple of years.
Right.
When he first came to town, he was this like brass balls, go for it every time on fourth down, aggressive type of play caller, and things made sense. But the last few years, his play calling has just not made any sense. So it's more than just this year. It's when I get a chance to see them, every single time something completely boggles my mind with Frank's play calling. And so I think there is a significant amount of blame that does go to Frank. There is, of course, injuries. We had a ridiculous amount of injuries this year, but to me, I'm the type of person, like, unless it's something monumental, and I guess in theory you could give that to Leonard and Taylor because he missed a chunk of time. Unless you have a piece on your team that is so pivotal to your success, everyone deals with injuries. I don't think you should use injuries as an excuse. Now, I mean, I guess guys like Taylor and Leonard are guys that you could use as an excuse because those are ridiculously huge pieces to your success.
Right.
Those are pillars of the team.
So do you think they were so big that they masked the deficiencies elsewhere?
I think Leonard 100%.
Well, I also then I think you would have to say with Taylor, because then you're saying, okay, what about your wide receivers? Did he mask that fact that, okay, the wide receiving core wasn't as good as in years past?
Oh, our receivers are garbage. Yeah,
because they basically
Taylor definitely helped cover that up for sure.
Will the Packers respond?
You made me think so suspensefully just then.
Didn't I? Wasn't that good? 6-13, pending extra point.
Well, okay. So 4 more wins. 4 might be tough. I could definitely see 3.
Okay.
We got the Steelers tomorrow night. We got the Giants and the Texans to close the season. So it's very possible to get 3 of those 4 wins.
Right.
But
so who's the 4th that you don't think will happen?
There's in between tomorrow night and the close of the season. 2 of the 3. First of all, 2 of the 3 are road games.
All right.
They're against Dallas, Minnesota, and the Chargers.
Ooh, damn.
So,
all right.
If we're gonna get a 4th win, just throw a dart in the board and say, like, okay, it's gonna be that one, because I can't pick any of those over the others. I mean, I guess because the Chargers are such a mess, they're probably the easiest one to get a win out of the 3. But I know it's Herbert. I don't want to go up against Herbert and Eckler and say, like, oh yeah, this is gonna be our 4th win.
But you also depend. Like, all right, so when do you face Dallas? Is Dallas like at the very end of the season?
Oh no, it's next week.
Oh, next week. Oh, okay. So I was gonna say, if that was like at the end of the year, then you could sit there and say, if they've already locked up playoffs, they're not playing anybody.
Yeah.
But okay. But here's the thing. Okay, so let's say you only now, mind you, it's Dallas. For all the praise that I have heaped upon this team, let's say they only put up 13 points and you lose 13-10. Everyone's probably going to give them 10 points spread. Okay, does that mean that they're better than where they are because they're not as good because of the sum of the parts? Like, I think people are going to look at this and see how the team has progressed under Saturday.
Right.
And I think, honestly, Saturday's coming back. I think regardless, he is.
Yeah.
But they need to look at the parts that they have and say, hey, we put too much on Leonard, too much on the young gun there, and say, all right, we need to get more wide receivers. We've got to shore up this defense. They've got to give them more parts. because, like you said, one injury on each side from those guys literally derails the season.
Yeah.
You know, he's an unbelievable talent, but they're going to run the wheels off of him. And he may say, you know what, I don't want a part of this. I know what Andrew Luck was talking about. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. Because if that happens, forget it. Indy's a jinx and no one's playing for them.
That's right.
You better call up and get your Sam Darnold jersey and get ready to rock.
Rocking baby blue in the deep south.
That's it. At least you know what you're getting.
That's right. Oh, real quick before we say goodnight, my friend, let's do a quick recap of the playoff pictures.
Yes.
AFC, you have Kansas City in first, still atop the AFC. Miami already touched on hanging back a game. Then you got this log jam. Tennessee 7-4, Baltimore 7-4, Cincinnati 7-4, the Jets 7-4. The Bills are in there at 8-3, but because of the division ties, of course, Tennessee and Baltimore are ahead of them.
Right.
So you got these 4 log jams at 7-4, plus the Bills at 8-3, and that takes us through 7 teams. So what's our take on the AFC right now? KC, Miami, Tennessee, Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, the Jets, and the Jets. Excuse me, Jets are the last one.
All right, Kansas City. Kansas City's the class of the AFC.
Right. At this point, it almost seems like if Kansas City doesn't run away from these teams, that's just bad. That's just a bad look.
You know, I just think that they are the most complete team. Now, mind you, they're healthy. They're not dealing with the injuries that like Buffalo and such are dealing with, but they are the most complete team today. Like I said, Miami's gonna. I just don't know about Miami. They're 8-3. I give them credit. They need to face some adversity a little bit, but they're 8-3. And if they keep winning, then hey. Yeah. Then the log jam. I don't know. It's just a hodgepodge. I have no idea.
So who would you take first round matchup, Miami the Jets, as it stands right now?
Who would I take?
Miami Jets. Yep.
I'm taking Miami. I don't know who the quarterback is. Let's be honest. I don't know who the quarterback of the Jets are. I think Miami has overall better weapons. I think the Jets are still a year or two away. They've got talent. They're young guys, but I don't know who the quarterback is.
Simple as that.
Exactly. Am I getting Zach Wilson 6 points a game or Mike White giving me 30? I don't know. I don't know who's who. So I'm taking Miami.
Next first round matchup, a rematch of what we saw today, Tennessee and Cincinnati. Presumably, one would hope Chase would be playing.
Yeah, at that point, Chase should be back. I think they wanted him back this week, but they just kind of held off. At that point, see, here's the thing, though. Tennessee, they're 9 sacks somehow since he survived. Figure it out this time. It may be limited to 4 sacks, maybe. Tennessee's defense is solid, but I don't trust Tannehill, so I would take the Bengals.
And of course, the final wild card matchup: Baltimore hosting the Bills.
Buffalo.
Baltimore's just too much of a mess.
Seriously, like I don't trust Baltimore. It's just they just don't have enough offensively for me. They don't have enough. Their defense, it would be a tight game, but I just don't think offensively they have enough.
Oh, let's see. Philadelphia, they look like they're off to a decent start tonight, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they'll still be in first.
Mm-hmm.
So that would bring us to the first round matchup, Minnesota, and get this, due to Seattle losing today, presumably, Minnesota's current first round opponent is Washington.
I have to think with my head and not my heart. No, Minnesota should be able to handle them. Now, like I said, Washington is just it seems like it's a bunch of guys. It's like if we had a rec league and they were a team of a bunch of guys that were like high school players and they were good and they just played well together and like you just would trust they would win. That's what Washington reminds me of. Just a bunch of guys who like each other, want to play well for one another. But Minnesota just has the talent. I would take Minnesota.
That was high praise to our old days on Wigwam Avenue.
Exactly. But if you were to tell me you went into the future and said Washington beat them by like a field goal, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right, because Minnesota just has a way of doing that.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but no, I would take Minnesota.
Next first round matchup. I think we can both agree we don't think this team will hold on here. However, they are currently still the 6th seed, the New York Football Giants going up against San Francisco.
Like you said, all right, as of today, okay, no, the Niners, no, there's no way the Giants can survive that. Now, mind you, I don't even know how the Saints survived and only allowed 13 points. But no, the Niners at that point are just, no, the Niners have too much firepower. And against that defense, I just don't see it. Because let's be honest.
Daniel Jones could do anything. Daniel Jones might not have 100 yards against that defense.
No, because if you start to look at the Giants' wins this past year, like the one from Green Bay holds absolutely no water now. Like, let's be realistic. It holds no water. Back then, that was when we when we played the Falcons at home.
Remember the London game,
and we watched that game on the TV. We were like, "Oh, they're gonna beat Green Bay, woo!" Now we're like, "Yeah, y'all probably should have put another 7 on them."
Yeah.
So, no, Giants won't survive.
And of course, the final,
Jesus.
The final wild card matchup.
Jeez,
can you hold serve at home? A much undeserved home game, but that's the situation we
No, it's not undeserved. When you're leading the division, you get a home game. No, it's not undeserved. This was the Colts. You'd be screaming, "Yep, that's right. We earned it."
I'd be screaming, "We earned it if we had 3 wins." Do you stand any chance of holding serve against the Cowboys?
Here's the thing. I don't know what what Dallas offense I'm going to get. Dallas's offense is Jekyll and Hyde. Like, I know defensively what I'm going to get. But their offense right now is still a little Jekyll and Hyde to me because of Dak. Dak is the X factor. They can run the ball. I just don't know if I trust Dak throwing the ball 100%. Right now, based on today, no, Dallas would beat us. Dallas would beat us because of just the putrid play calling we have. So I would take Dallas. Whatever.
Who do you think? Who is the favorite right now? I mean, is there still a little bit of an element on San Francisco, or is it Philadelphia and Dallas, and maybe
right now it's
from
Philly.
Minnesota? It's still Philly.
Right now it's Philadelphia. They're playing their tails off. You can't. I think if it was a couple weeks ago, people were still like, we kind of got to see. No, Philly right now. Week 11. We're in this. No, it's Philly. Philly's playing great ball. Dallas is right behind them. I think Dallas is the second best team. And then you can make a case for maybe another 2 teams. But that's it.
The AFC playoffs is going to be where it's at. The AFC playoffs are not going to be worth a whole lot of watching.
I don't know. Honestly, if you really look at it, it's almost the same thing. Kansas City, Miami. I think you still have to say Buffalo. And then after that, it's a hodgepodge of I don't know what I'm going to get. So I think if you're talking storyline angle-wise, yeah, I think the AFC is the fun part. That's the good soap opera.
Yeah.
In the NFC, it's just who's gonna stumble into Philly and get mollywopped.
I think I'd take Minnesota and San Francisco and even Washington out of that hodgepodge over any hodgepodge in the AFC though. I just don't have any faith in the AFC. I think it's a garbage conference this year.
I think the NFC, I think the teams are a little more complete. They're a little more stability right now than the AFC. But like we said, we think the Giants are going to drop off the face of the earth pretty soon. So then what does Washington step up? Does Seattle hold on? And the Lions they're in 10th. They're still around. Don't be drugging on the Lions.
Don't write off Motor City Dan Campbell.
That's right.
MCDC.
That's it all day, every day.
I think that's a good place to wrap up, sir. What do you think about my new hat?
Yes. I liked it on Instagram. I didn't message. I didn't have time. I forgot. Those hats are sweet. What are you charging? Like $50?
45.
45. Good Lord. It's more than my fitted Bucs hats. Good golly. Well,
Hey, breweries charge $25 to $28 for a snapback. I feel like I'm justified.
I feel like I'm justified. They're giving me beer, man.
There's that. They do that.
But no, honestly, no. They look very nice, man. I like the way they look. Very clean. Very nice.
You said you got a Monday nighter next week?
On the 5th.
I guess I'll see you next Sunday then.
Yes, sir. You will. I will be here preparing for that and cluster fluff. Oh Lord.
Boys, girls, and everyone's in between. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for watching on replay. We'll see you in week 13.
Oh yeah.